What is good, guys? This is TJ, Life Coach, with you. Today we're going to episode 3 of reviewing Ram Dass. So what we do with this series, or what I do with this series, is we take teachings from Ram Dass, an old philosopher and spiritual guru, and we take teachings from him and see how we can apply it to our lives. So today we're going to talk about planes of consciousness or levels of consciousness, however, whatever words you want to put to it. But first I'm going to define the word consciousness because I use it a lot on this channel, and I want us to all be able to understand what exactly we're trying to get at here. So consciousness is the ability to be aware of something. So if you're aware that you have glasses on your face or hair in your head, you are conscious of something. And so our goal here is to become more conscious of certain things so we can understand life better, be able to help each other more. Before we get into Ram Dass's quotes here, I want to run something by you first. Think, for example, of a subatomic particle, or a particle that is smaller than an atom. Now, of course, we can't visualize this because this is something that most of us have not seen, at least not with our naked eye. And when we think of these little particles, how do they know where they're going to go and how they are going to operate within an atom? Well, they know this because they're conscious, at least to a level, a certain extent anyway. And so there's all these different planes of consciousness or different levels of consciousness. We have atoms, we have molecules, we have all these little particles that make up our entire bodies. We have our brains, we have our thoughts. Everything changes how consciousness views itself. And so we're going to talk about the different levels of this. All right, now that I got that little tidbit of information out for you guys to really munch on, let's go ahead and get into Ram Dass's quotes here.
There are many planes of reality. In the grossest sense, there is the physical plane that our normal waking consciousness is aware of. There are dream states, etc. There is the astral plane. I remember Aldous Huxley. We were in Copenhagen together, and he was delivering a lecture which was describing why we love jewels so much. And he said, we love jewels because they remind us of pebbles on astral planes where we once lived.
So to break it down a little bit here, what is an astral plane? Now, many of us who've grown up religious or Christian, we've all heard different terms to describe heaven or other levels of existence. And so astral could be referred to as what I grew up known as the spirit world, or we could call it heaven, or a place where souls who don't necessarily have a physical body are meeting up and learning more. I think another thing to munch on in your minds right now, to be able to not necessarily so much as understand this more, but to actually experience it for yourself, is to realize that all these planes of consciousness, all these different things that we're thinking of here while we're listening to Ram Dass and myself, it's not so much a faraway place that's often like Colorado or in California. These aren't so much places as they are things that are happening right here and right now. And so if we think of other souls and we pass on members that we've had, it doesn't always necessarily mean they're so much in another place as much as they're actually right here with us. But because there's particles that the universe is made out of, and our souls are a more finer substance, and of course we can't always see the souls of certain people. And so these planes are right here with us. When we talk about all these different levels or planes or whatever you want to call it, it's everything all right here and right now. But as far as being in a physical body, we can only see so much.
Many people have astral journeys a lot on this plane and are in contact with astral entities. Emmanuel is an astral entity or a causal entity or somewhere on that realm. He's probably pretty close to causal. And there are thousands of entities, millions of entities on all these planes.
So in that quote, Ram Dass speaks about his friend Emmanuel, who does not have a physical body but is on the astral plane or in the spirit world, whatever you want to call it. And he is without a body and yet still able to help those of us who are down here and speak to people like Ram Dass, who are able to channel with him or to just communicate with him. If we can even begin to imagine the amount of other beings that are on these other planes, such as the spirit world or astral plane, these souls who are not yet in human bodies, we can then really at least start to imagine the number of beings that we have around us, whether good, evil, whatever their intention may be. We're not necessarily always alone. We're not as alone as we may think we are anyway. Now we're going to get into a plane of existence or consciousness that is very hard to describe because it can't really be understood with our rational or always thinking minds. For us to really understand this, we may need to maybe meditate before the segment of the video or do something that gets us in the zone. helps us to quiet and calm our minds, because for this, it's going to be something that's more intuitive, more deep for you to start to even grasp. So when he mentions the causal plane, we're talking about the plane of oneness. Now again, all these, I'm just using words to describe something that is way beyond words or beyond description. But I'm talking about the place in where none of us are actually separate. We're all the same being talking to itself. We may be individuals within this plane, but we are at the core of it. For all consciousness, for all the ability to be aware, then that means that so is the person in the room next to me. They're also at the core of it, the ability to be aware, and so am I. And so that means that all of us are actually the same being, expressing ourselves and growing through human bodies, through astral souls, or whatever it is, whatever words you want to use and whatever you believe. Either way, we can see it, realizing that we are at the core of it, we are the same exact being. This helps us to understand oneness and love, compassion for one another a lot more.
So for you to be free, it means being free not only of the physical plane, of the psychological and physical, but being free of the astral or mythic or archetypal, as Jung talks about it, and being free even of the idea of a soul or a self or a separateness, which brings you back into the causal plane.
So Ram Dass speaks about being free. What does being free mean in this context? It means being conscious or aware enough to realize that all these planes of existence are happening at once. We are humans living in this world. We're going to work, we're making money, we have to do all these things that humans do at this moment. We're also learning, we're growing, we're making mistakes, we're forgiving ourselves and each other, at least hopefully, in order to grow. Then B, we're also souls. We're souls who go on different lifetimes to be able to learn more, and we have certain missions, we can say, to accomplish. We come down here, we help other souls, and certain souls we're destined to meet. And then C, we are also the same exact being, interacting with itself, learning through itself, growing, loving, doing all these wonderful things, because at the core of it, we are awareness, we are consciousness. We're that pure awareness, watching the thoughts, watching the voice, watching everything go by, and learning through it. It's all love.
Last night when I quoted Ram Tirth, I am without form, without limit, beyond space, beyond time. I am in everything. Everything is in me. I am the bliss of the universe. Everywhere I am. Now, to be free, meaning you are not standing anywhere. Or, to put it the other way, you are everywhere, as Kala Rinpoche just said. Now, just imagine extricating yourself from identification with any place you're standing, astral, physical, causal. And then awareness is. Awareness is the trees and the rivers and the sky and the bodies, and then it is, you are everywhere. You're in it all. You're in all of it.
So like Ram Dass says, when we get to that plane of existence or plane of consciousness that is oneness, we realize that we are all of it. We are everything. We are consciousness growing through itself. And so in order to, maybe we can say, understand this more or to grasp this more, this isn't something that we go ahead and we think, okay, oneness, oneness, oneness. Because as long as we're using words to describe it, it's not the real thing. So what can we do to extricate ourselves from identifying with separateness or having that feeling, those thoughts that reaffirm that we are a separate thing from everything else, in which we are not. We may be individuals, especially as we're living as souls and humans. We're individualistic from one another, and that's okay. But we are not necessarily separate. We're not alone. We're actually surrounded, and we are love itself. But how can we really experience this? Well, there's certain things that we all do, whether it's like mine, for example, is working out, meditation, things that we do that gets us really feeling our bodies, feeling, we're more focused on feeling more intuitive than we are always in our thinking minds. And so there's different things that we all do to get ourselves out of our minds, whether we realize it or not. Observe your life and find those things that help you to get out of your thoughts, to get out of your head, and keep using those experiences that you have, those activities that you do, to help you see that the truths that we explain in this video about consciousness and awareness. Now, the root of it, that is what you are. It is hard to get up your sense of self, this ego that we have all created over our lifetime. And we have this ego of who we think we are. But when we're able to extricate ourselves from our thoughts, then it's beautiful, it's wonderful, but it's hard. But when we're able to do this, it's very, very freeing. Alright guys, I hope something in this video resonated with you. Even if the whole thing didn't resonate with you, that's totally okay. I hope something helped you and something helped you too, to realize that wonderful, beautiful, limitless potential you have within you. And I hope that we're able to discover at least a little bit of that, because when we do, it's a game changer for our life. And so I hope that something resonated with your heart and helped you feel that love that we could all use, that unconditional love that's there for all of us. So I hope you guys love this video, love the series. Please subscribe if you want to see more. Have a great day, you beautiful souls. We'll see ya.